All I want any recruiter to know is that I'm so much more than just my resume.
Lol. Come on. We both know that all these recruitment platforms are only designed for the companies to get what they want.
They don't care about candidates like us. Not all, buddy. Have you heard of TAG?
Karan Roy, data scientist. Tag score 96%. Interesting.
That's me. And thanks to TAG, now she knows all about my functional, behavioral, technical, and all other relevant skills. Tagged indeed is a game changer for me. When I signed up for it, it created this structured, validated, and enriched profile mapped across my numerous skills, knowledge base, and work experience, and created a score. My tagged score. The score and profiling help me present my best professional version to any employer. They can easily find what they need, and if I'm the right fit, my profile shows up instantly. This way, TAG not only helps candidates like me land their dream jobs, but also figure out where they stand amongst their peers and also identify the areas they need to work on.
Wow, this is just the kind of candidate I need. I like how detailed his profile is. Should I even interview this guy?
See, this is how TAG is bringing clarity, communication, and dignity back for us candidates. It also gives me an access to a community of peers, career circles, thousands of jobs, and marquee employers like her to further aid my career growth. Are you kidding me? Did you just get hired within minutes?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry I was on mute. I'm Vishal Bhardwaj. I'm going to be the moderator for today's session. We are back again with a very interesting Career Circle Live session for all the aspirants who are joining us for the first time. I also want to set a very brief context as to why we are here and what all can you expect in another 35 to 40 minutes. Career Circle Live event is the co-partner event with LinkedIn. The idea and the intent behind this entire event is to bring talent advisor, career aspirants, and the industry experts on the same platform so that we can have a dialogue and people can take a lot of information that usually are not available on. With this in view, we always keep in mind to get a valued industry expert to this fray who can pass on the understanding. This time again, I think it's our privilege to get a very renowned industry expert who has an experience of about 4 decades in the various HR gamut of activities. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sushil Baveja, who is the CHRO of Jindal Stainless Limited.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Vishal.
thank you, Mr. Baveja, for joining us in this event. Before I add on more to your introduction, Mr. Baveja, I would like, why don't you brief about something, of your experience and what you do, and then we can have a dialogue.
Sure, sure. So I've been in the HR space for, I mean, as you rightly said, close to about 4 decades. And, I did my MBA from IMT Ghaziabad way back in 1984. And since then, I worked across, various organizations, Indian and, multinational companies. So I started my career with Samtel, which used to be in the black and white and color television pitch tubes. From there, I moved on to Cadbury India. From Cadbury's, I moved to Dalmia Industries. Then I moved to Gillette, where I was doing a factory stint at the Bhiwadi factory. Then I moved to Alcatel. I was heading the HR for Alcatel India. And then I was in DCM Shriram. At DCM, I had my longest stint. I headed the HR there for over 18 years. And now I'm here with Jindal Stainless for the last about a year now almost. And it's been a great journey. It's been a great learning journey, I would say. And as I said, I was fortunate to have experienced both the Indian family businesses and multinational companies. And multinational again, British multinational, a US multinational, a French multinational, and Indian family businesses also of all size and scale. So tremendous learning for me over the last 4 decades that I've been in the corporate career.
Wonderful, Sal. I think I couldn't think of any other name in the profile that you just mentioned. All great brands to work with. Just to set the same context with you also, Mr. Baveja, that this entire session is for the candidates. The idea is to pass on information that they can take back and finally reassemble and apply for the opportunities that we currently have with Jindal Stainless. We will talk more about Jindal Stainless in next about 30 minutes. But as they say, a picture talks more than the words, and our visual memories are the strongest memories. Why don't we have a brief sneak peek and a video of Jindal Stainless? Team at the backstage, may I request you to please play the video now?
Jindal Stainless, India's largest stainless steel manufacturer, is a part of the $25 billion OP Jindal Group. With a turnover of $3.2 billion, Jindal Stainless is one of the world's leading manufacturers of stainless steel products. Founded in 1970 by the visionary Shri O.P. Jindal, Jindal Stainless today has a capacity to produce 1.9 million metric tons of stainless steel. The company stands committed to its guiding vision and mission of providing trustworthy and innovative stainless steel solutions. Stronger and lighter at the same time, stainless steel is inherently corrosion resistant, durable, recyclable, and aesthetic. For this reason, stainless steel is the preferred metal in industries like nuclear energy, construction and architecture, automotives and transport, oil and gas, desalination processes, fertilizer, storage, chemical processes, dairy industry, food processing, sugar, white goods, and of course, kitchenware. Our cutting-edge technology in the Special Products Division and state-of-the-art R&D wing is complemented by a superior knowledge of supply chain systems to produce world-class stainless steel products. Our wide range of stainless steel coils, plates, and sheets are acclaimed for their superior quality. The company is also one of the largest producers of coin blanks and razor blade grade of steel in the world. Our specialized subsidiaries offer innovative architectural and lifestyle solutions. Our service centers cater to tailor-made customer requirements through a distribution network spread across the country. Jindal Stainless serves the domestic and global stainless steel demand with its robust network of sales offices and service centers throughout the globe. Our customers include some of the world's most renowned market leaders. Rooted in the Indian philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, we strive to empower local communities by providing comprehensive healthcare, education facilities, and vocational training for promoting self-reliance and also augmenting their employability among communities. Backed by a wide network of 13 global offices, 10 domestic offices, and 6 service centers, Jindal Stainless is continuously developing the stainless steel landscape of the country. Jindal Stainless, because it's not just steel, it's stainless steel.
Thank you, team at the backstage. I think I like the last line the most. It's not just the steel; it's the stainless steel. My first question on the same topic, Mr. Baveja. I think even I wasn't clear about stainless steel versus steel. Obviously I had some brief idea about stuff, but all my life I've been reading about India, the second largest producer of steel, after China in that part. But we don't get the categorization of stainless steel, so far across the world. And people only look at Jindal as a brand associated with steel, not stainless steel. I think if you can help us give more overview about what is Jindal Stainless Steel, when did we start, how, what has been the journey so far. I think that to the audience will really help.
Yeah, so so when we talk about the Jindal Group, so we've been in existence for over 53 years now almost. We are the number one stainless steel producer in the country, and if you were to look at global standard, we are almost at number 5, is what I can say. So stainless steel as a category hasn't been all that well established when we look at the understanding of people from a point of view of application. But as you start doing a deep dive into the various applications, you will see that stainless steel has a very wide application, as a matter of fact. And if you look at applications, so this would include, I would say, right from needles to the Chandrayaan latest. Even this video actually talks about coin blanks, razor blades. There are other applications also of stainless steel, like you'll find them in mixers, grinders, washing machines, microwave ovens. That is specialty part of it. And apart from that, there are a variety of industrial applications also, both in the process industry and in the engineering industry. And architecture, building, and construction, I mean, that's a fairly established area where we see a very strong application of stainless steel, and including railways and transport. So if you use a metro, so stainless steel has a big application in the metro rail, for that matter. Even the video spoke about the fact that the applications include nuclear, it includes space, green hydrogen, ballistic, and blast protection, for that matter. It's applicable in the marine industry. It's applicable in missiles. So right from needle to Chandrayaan. Many people don't know that the coins that they carry in their pockets, so these are actually the Jindal Stainless steel, and uh, including the razors that we use for our day-to-day shaving. The blades are primarily coming in from Jindal Stainless. So it's a huge application of stainless steel today, and it is growing progressively as we see that the awareness is actually building up.
Yeah. And I think we are all surrounded by stainless steel, but I think we still know that much only. The idea is to pass on more information to everyone after the session. One of the very interesting stuff, I don't know whether people at the audience, they know, I think a lot of landscape at the international airport is done by Jindal Stainless Steel. You may see people clicking photograph. I think all that work is also part of Jindal Stainless in that part. Now, moving from here, Mr. Baveja, I strongly believe the company is built by the core values, and the people who work in the company, they actually demonstrate that, as they move forward. Uh, as an aspirant, as one of the candidates in the market, and I'm being the voice for them, right? What are those core values of Jindal Stainless Limited? When you look at somebody as a candidate for an interview, how do you evaluate them on those core values, and how do you recommend some of the people to demonstrate while they actually appear for an opportunity?
So, the values and the principles, they define the larger ecosystem of the organization. So it is not just the values, but the way these values actually get enshrined at the workplace in terms of behaviors, in terms of thoughts, in terms of ideas. That's where you actually get a first-hand experience of these values. And what we've done is we've not just simply articulated these values. We've also tried to make sure that these values correspond to certain behaviors, and those behaviors actually are woven into our various HR processes and systems. And just to name a few values and principles which are very dear to us, would include things like respect, which I feel is a fundamental which needs to exist in any organization. So respect for individual is extremely important. Meritocracy is another core value, which basically tells you that we as an organization are absolutely focused on doing everything which is objective, which is neutral, which is dispassionate, and merit is to the core, applied in terms of everything, whether it is hiring or whether it is decision making, so to say. Dynamic thinking is another important core value for us. Creativity and innovation, I think thinking out of the box is very important, because we continuously encourage employees to look for newer applications, to look for newer ideas, to see where the world is moving, and to make sure that anything that we do is unconventional, because it's unconventional thinking which leads to unconventional outcomes, and conventional thinking will get you the usual outcomes, so to say.
Yeah.
Social responsibility is another important, core value for us, because we believe that we have to not only be a business enterprise, but we also have to be in harmony with the larger community around us. And of course, integrity is something which is very, very core in terms of, being ethical, being credible, demonstrating the right behavior, being responsible. So these values are extremely important. And we, as I said, we try to make sure that the behaviors that correspond to these values, they are woven into our HR processes and systems, so that people know that these are not just there on a poster, but they are actually being lived on a day-to-day kind of a basis.
Yeah, and I think people at the audience side, I'm sure everyone is making notes. These are the core values, as Mr. Baveja said. Sorry, irrespective of the role that you possibly apply for in the organization, I think every process evaluation will include some part to gauge yourself on these parameters. So I think the idea is to just know them well and then prepare before appearing for any of the opportunity down the line. Moving from here, Mr. Baveja, I know that Jindal Stainless has a presence across Pan India. If you can also help the audience, where all location we have the presence, and where all do we have an opportunities also, so that they can apply for that.
So, our major presence, I would say, is in Hisar and Jajpur. So Hisar is in Haryana, Jajpur is in Odisha. And these are two big manufacturing bases for us. And there is major action happening in both these locations, so to say. And we continuously keep looking for talent. I mean, this is not just replacement talent, but the organization is in a continuous growth mode. And when we look at growth, we are not looking at growth at an incremental level. We look at growth from a very quantum lens. It's a very ambitious group, and the need for talent is continuously there. So we have opportunities, in both Jajpur and in Hisar, We also have opportunities in our corporate offices, in our sales offices in Delhi, NCR, and Pan India, so to say. And the opportunities are, across all domains, so to say. So if you were to look at, let's say the manufacturing locations for that matter. So at the manufacturing location, we would have opportunities, let's say in quality assurance, we will have opportunities in production planning, we will have opportunities in engineering, maintenance, safety, procurement, IT. In our corporate offices, opportunities would be there in sales, accounts, HR. And to meet these requirements, we need qualified people. We need qualified engineers, graduate engineers, diploma engineers, ITIs. Particularly, if you're coming in from a metallurgical kind of a background, well, that's a preferred trade for us. And of course, but the other trades are also welcome across the various job families that I just spoke about. So mechanical discipline, electrical discipline. And if you were to look at, let's say, the corporate functions or the group functions, so we also need chartered accountants. We would need MBAs across all streams, be it sales, operations, finance, HR. So the requirement is enormous, is what I can say, because we are in the growth mode.
Wonderful. So before asking next question, Mr. Baveja, I want to share a story with you, especially for the audience also, and that's the reason why I want to ask this question. In my early days of career, I was applying for one of the multinational company as one of the collection agent, for them. So the interview process started about 9 a.m. in the morning, and I was there at about 8 p.m. looking at my watch as to when this entire process will end. At the same time, I was frustrated also. There's no timeline, nothing is being followed like anything else. Um, I asked the question, so recruiter was passing by. I asked the question, recruiter, am I being interviewed for a CEO position? And with all this sarcasm in my tone. And I got a surprise. The recruiter stopped and said, "No, sir, you've been interviewed for a Prime Minister of India position." That's how it was an equal sarcasm from a recruiter standpoint also. So the point that I want to make, Mr. Baveja, is that many times I think the process becomes too ambiguous and too complex in terms of evaluation. As a candidate, if you can also help us as to what the process of evaluation is, how many rounds usually happen in the TA process, and how soon, for example, if we apply for something, right, how soon we get to a closure of either this side of the table or the other side of the table. If you can pass some light to that as well.
So look, I mean, any role or any profile, it requires a comprehensive assessment. So we have to assess people on the technical competencies that are needed for the job. We assess people on the functional competencies. We assess people on the behavioral competencies. We also try to assess people on the value system, so because that's something which is very dear to us, because ultimately the values define the behavior, they define the DNA of the organization. So there is a process, but it doesn't mean that when we are doing such a comprehensive assessment, it's a long drawn process. No, that's not true. So it depends what role, what level somebody is actually getting getting considered. So there would be certain profiles, particularly at the entry level, where you can go through a test for that matter. There would be, let's say, an aptitude test, or there could be a subject matter test, so to say. And once there is a certain screening and shortlisting done, then of course, you go through a process of interview. But I can assure you that, the process is not too long. And once the shortlist has happened, post the tests and everything, the interviews would be, so usually the first is a little deeper, intense interview, which is more around the technical and the functional competencies and skills. And going forward, it is then the behavioral skills. So about a couple of rounds of interviews, and yeah, it's the process gets over, because we are also very keen to get somebody onboarded sooner than later. So we also would like to actually see that the process is over. We have a method of measuring the tact for that matter. So depending on when the position is open, we are continuously tracking how soon are we in a position to close this position. So we try to make sure that the process is brisk, the process is fast, and also at the same time the process is respectful for the candidate. The candidate also should actually have a good experience whenever he or she comes to our organization. So we don't see candidate just as an aspirant for a role. We also see candidates as brand ambassadors for Jindal Stainless. So we are determined to make sure that they get a good experience when they walk into our premises.
Great. And I know of the fact that, at each and every stage, we keep the candidate informed about the candidature being processed. I think that's a great value and information to anybody who's applying for any of the positions within JSL. So thank you for that. Moving to my next question, and this is predominantly that everyone would have in their mind. If let's say we join JSL, as one of the candidate, what is the career progression in the company? How this entire process of progression managed? Are there any drivers, for example, a minimum shelf time somebody has to spend in the company and then the process happens? Are there any process of evaluation also that happens to appear for that and then crack and then move forward? How does this entire journey happen in the companies is possibly we want to understand.
So look, I mean, the primary consideration or the primary criteria is merit. So as you would have heard a little while back when I was talking about our values, so meritocracy is very, very important. So that gets applied, for all processes, and particularly for decisions which involve career progression of candidates. So if somebody is good and on merit actually meets the requirement for growth, well, definitely, age or number of years is not a bar. But definitely, what is important is you actually do look at the performance of the individual, how consistently good that person has been, into the performance. So that actually consistency gets measured, over a period of time. So it takes maybe a year or two for that matter. And while performance is one, the second thing which is important to be considered for a promotion is the potential that you have to take on more responsibilities. So does the individual take initiative? Does the person show agility? Does the person show stretch? In terms of taking on new initiatives, new projects, new assignments. So these are parameters which are also looked at, from a promotion standpoint. And up to a middle management level, just to make the whole process very merit based and very objective, we also do a panel interview, and the panel comprises of leaders from within the organization and also experts from outside. And based on the recommendation, then we take a call in terms of who's qualified for the promotion to the next level or to the next grade. But yes, we try to make sure that the whole process is objective, the whole process is completely neutral, and it is completely based on merit.
Wonderful.
I hope I have answered your questions. I don't know if there's anything left.
Yes, you did. Just to follow up on that, I think if I talk about an era about 20 years back, Mr. Baveja, there was time that only people used to get excited about a vertical elevation. You move within the hierarchy, you become like a king, and everything seems to be hunky-dory there. But I think now, in last about 10 years, we've seen that change in shift. Now the cross-functional expertise has been given a more value than just a vertical expertise in doing that. How does that happen in JSL? For example, if I apply for a sales role right now, do I get an opportunity to move to, let's say, a finance function down the line? If at all, there's an opportunity there. And what would be that process of application there?
No, sure, absolutely. That's a very good point, actually. So, so growth is not just vertical out here as well. So we try to make sure that you are able to move laterally. We give opportunities for rotation. We encourage employees actually to seek out, new responsibilities, new assignments. We nominate people to cross-functional projects, to cross-functional assignments, so that you get a variety in your experience. You get a variety in your ideas and thoughts when you work on cross-functional teams and projects. Apart from that, we also have a process of IJP. There's an internal job posting. So whenever there is an opening, in any of our functions, units, so there is an IGP which gets rolled out. We always would prefer to see that internally employees get an opportunity to apply for those roles and jobs. So these IGPs could be horizontal, could be vertical, and they are actually a good method of actually addressing the aspiration of any employee in terms of growth. So there are a lot of opportunities. So there are rotations, there are IGPs, there is participation in cross-functional teams and projects. You also actually get opportunities to participate in seminars, conferences outside, to travel international. So all those things are there in terms of making sure that there is a variety end of the day in the work that somebody is doing.
Yeah, and another question on the same lines. I think there's always a dilemma in a practice of building a talent and buying a talent from the market. A lot of companies moving toward now building a talent instead of just buying it. I think there's a lot of learning and the upskilling program that happens. I'm sure of and I know of some of the best practices that happen in JSL also. If you can also explain what are those upskilling programs and at what levels those get launched. How do candidates get to access them? How do they enrich their understanding of a particular domain or let's say cross domain to finally build their career within the organization?
So look, we have a fairly established learning and development vertical in the organization as part of the larger HR function. We have L&D as a COE at a group level, at a corporate level. We have L&D as a COE at the unit level as well. And we do a very systematic assessment of the training needs on the technical side, on the functional side, and on the behavioral side. So there are certain needs which are driven by business priorities, by organizational priorities, but also, yes, we also try to factor in needs that individuals may have in terms of fulfillment of their career aspirations. And basis that we roll out all kinds of programs which are aimed at building not just the technical capability of the of that particular individual, but also the larger functional understanding, giving a perspective on the larger behavioral elements which are required for that particular role, for that individual to perform effectively. So we have a very well laid out learning and development calendar, and as part of that learning and development calendar, we try to make sure that people get all the opportunity to attend a variety of programs. Apart from that, we also try to make sure that if there is something which doesn't exist within the organization, we get in experts from outside to conduct those programs for us. Again, those could be across all the competencies. Then there could be certain, let's say, management courses or development programs for which we feel that somebody needs to be, let's say, somebody needs to be nominated to a program outside. So we nominate people to programs, to IIMs, to ISBs, to all opportunities that exist in terms of making sure that the person is is holistic in his skills and capabilities.
Great, and I think everybody at the audience side they would have made notes that all these interventions are available. So while they prioritize and choose the best brands to work with, I'm sure JSL will be stacked higher amongst all the competition we have. The other question, Mr. Baveja, that we have that usually comes in every size of the organization, it's become difficult to keep every person engaged on the ground, especially on a setup where it's manufacturing on the ground. It requires a human intensive job. It requires an innovative job separately in that paradigm. So what are those engagement activities that percolate within the organization that helps us to finally keep engaged with our employees in the company?
So look, I mean, we have to make sure that all employees in an organization are actively engaged. So one, of course, is the engagement that you have at the work level on a regular basis. Then there is an engagement which is in terms of making sure that we are organizing all kinds of social activities. We actually also draw the calendar of social activities and also celebration of festivals, organizing sports events, and this happens, across all the locations for that matter. Celebration of important occasions, celebration of Safety Day, celebration of Women's Day. So there are a variety of engagement activities. So if you ask me, this today is hygiene as far as any organization is concerned. Every organization actually has a calendar of social programs and celebration of all kinds. What is important is to make sure that you give employees a good enhanced experience, of they being part of the organization. One important thing that I can always talk about when we talk about engagement is a couple of them actually is we have very strong communication forums out here, and I would say the most engaging communication forum is the one which is actually led by a managing director, Mr. Abhyuday Jindal. So he addresses all employees every quarter through a forum called as Sampark. And so every quarter, he actually shares his perspectives on how the organization has performed over the last few months. Where did we go right? Where could we have done better? What are the plans in terms of going forward? What is it that we all, as members of the family, need to focus on in terms of driving some of those priorities? And it's a very engaging platform because after he has shared his ideas and perspectives, the lines are then open for employees to connect with him. So they can ask him all kinds of questions in terms of the business growth, or in terms of individual growth, in terms of learning opportunities, in terms of his personal fitness. It is in terms of, let's say, availability of bus or food or anything for that matter. And I've seen that it's one of the most engaging platforms. The other the other thing which really adds life to the engagement at any of our location and units is the entire R&R program, the entire reward and recognition program that we have here at Jindal Stainless. And that is another forum where our managing director is personally involved and engaged, like the R&R program that we have here in Delhi. So Mr. Abhyuday Jindal makes sure that he is personally present, to give away awards, to recognize people, to make people feel important, valued, appreciated. And R&R in our organization is not just done as an initiative. It is done as something which is to celebrate achievements, which is to make people feel that they are important, that they are valued, they are appreciated, they are an integral part of the larger JSL family. So, so these are some of the, I would say, initiatives which really make the whole environment a lot more engaging, which allows people, to give out their discretionary effort. We also try to reach out to people in terms of knowing where are they in terms of their own, let's say, satisfaction or engagement. So to say, we recently carried out NPS study, a Net Promoter Score, study, which was rolled out to all employees across the organization. And now that also provides you with a lot of insights and things that are going well, things that could have been done better. And we had a NPS score in excess of 55%, which is pretty good in terms of the industry benchmark. So, so these are some of the things which we definitely make sure that they provide employees, with an enhanced kind of an experience. The other piece, sorry, I'm just taking more time, but since you spoke about experience, since you spoke about engagement, and that is something I'm always very emotional about, is the fact that we also use technology to drive employee experience, so to say. And so, like in HR, we have implemented Darwin Box. So, what is Darwin Box? So, Darwin Box has all HR processes online, and so for us in JSL, so technology doesn't end after implementation. So the real journey for us begins after implementation. The journey of entire adoption, the journey of value realization, making sure that employees are able to feel that yes, this is really making life much better to me. And the objective of technology is not to to introduce new things just because somebody else is doing, but the objective is to how do we enhance a stakeholder experience, and employees happen to be one of our key stakeholders.
So I think you touched a very important point, Mr. Baveja. I also want to tell this to entire audience. So in one of the TEDx session, there was a scenario being put across as to why technology is not driven in the organization. And I think one of the case study presented was the technology is never seen as a part of the organization culture. So, for example, if somebody asks us to create an organogram for our own team, we only create names of people. We never write the technology that we interact with to make the entire organization structure up and ready. So the day I think companies realize that, it's not about two members working well in the company. It's about person and a technology working well in the company that makes an effort and that differentiates the organization. Till then, I think the change will never be delivered. I'm really happy the way JSL is able to make that differentiation in-house. And now we see technology as a part of the organization structure. Given the time that we have at our hand, Mr. Baveja, I can continue to go on. I have numerous questions. I want to pick up two important questions from the audience. I can see that on my window. First, I think, there's a question about how do we drive innovation in Jindal Stainless Steel?
So, look, you would have noticed, and I said that as part of my opening remarks also, when we're talking about values, that innovation and creativity is a core value as far as Jindal Stainless is concerned. So we try to make sure that behaviors which correspond to to innovation are well appreciated, well rewarded. So there are conversations around innovation which happen at the time of the performance discussions, feedback. We also try to reward people in as part of our R&R program, as part of our R&R initiatives, people who have demonstrated innovative ideas. It is not just about ideation, but also people who've gone forward and kind of applied those innovative ideas at the workplaces. And innovation is something which we also encourage people to kind of benchmark themselves with best practices. We try to bring in as much of outside in perspective as may be possible, so that we make sure that we are not in a status quo mode. We are continuously challenging ourselves. But yes, I mean, the biggest thing is to encourage innovation at the workplace. Two things important: they have to become part and parcel of the performance conversation, which they are in our case here. They are part of our core values and beliefs, and they are very integral to the reward and recognition program in this organization.
Thank you so much. And I think the last question for the day. I think we have one question on diversity, Mr. Baveja. I know, at a core manufacturing setup, diversity has always been a challenge. I think our endeavor is to improve and increase, but I think there's still a challenge across all the manufacturing because of the nature of work that is involved. And I know JSL does a lot to welcome diversity. It would be great if you can just talk about some of the stuff that we do in-house to welcome diversity.
So look, we are on a journey, to be honest, as far as diversity is concerned. So when you talk about diversity, if you talk about gender diversity, so there is a bit of a challenge that organizations like us suffer, because the availability of talent in the manufacturing space, the mines and metal space in particular, is a challenge. You're not able to get diversity candidates, so to say. But we have within our HR created a protocol that we must try to bring in as much of diversity candidates as possible. For certain roles and positions here at the corporate office, we've said that we must first give preference to diversity candidates, provided the merit is met, the criteria is met to that extent. But I would say, so that is one element of diversity. The other element of diversity is inclusion. It's about inclusiveness. How inclusive are you in terms of your work style, in terms of your, making sure that you give opportunities to employees across all levels to participate in the ideation process, in terms of decision making, so to say. So to that extent, the decision-making process here is by and large consensus. We try to see that we try to bring in as much ideas as we can from the nook and corner of the organization, because we feel that when you bring in diverse perspectives, when you bring in contrarian perspectives, the larger quality of the outcome, improves. But as I said, we are on a journey. We still have a lot of catching up to do, and we have a roadmap towards that as well. But just to, since you said this is the last question, I thought I'll just quickly say that Jindal Stainless as an organization is something very very progressive. It's extremely professional in terms of its outlook. The kind of investment that we do in upgrading our systems processes is phenomenal. The kind of technological interventions that we bring in are huge. It's an organization which believes in bringing an outside-in perspective, so that we are contemporary in our thoughts, in our ideas, and we are able to make sure that we are raising the bar continuously. As I said earlier, our ambition is not to stay confined to the domestic, to a domestic player. We are actually aspiring to be a big, significant global player. While we are already there among the top five, but our aspiration is to be there in the top three, I would say.
Thank you, Mr. Baveja, and all our best wishes for a further growth till we reach the sky. I think with this, we'll take a pause till we meet again, Mr. Baveja. Thank you again for sparing time and passing on all the information. I'm sure people at the backside and all the aspirants, they would have made notes for everything. You may see a lot will get, possibly apply for all the opportunities that we currently have, and we'll welcome them with open hands there. So thank you so much, Mr. Baveja. And all the aspirants, thank you again for joining us. You may note the email ID at the screen. Please share your profiles on the email ID to look for any opportunity that you're looking forward within JSL. Thanks again till we meet next time. Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Take care. Bye.